Episode 26.
Gunshots on a gun, I don't wanna be. Guilt trip, these drugs are inside of me. This is not where I
What
wanna
up?
be.
Low in the phones. What's up? Keep it rocking. Keep it moving.
All right. Hey, hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome. You heard it here. Episode motherfucking 26 of the Mostly Sorry podcast. You know what I noticed lately? First, we'll get into that. David, I'm here with my friend, producer, co-host, David Deary. David, how the fuck are you?
Bro, I'm good. You just don't worry about me, man. You were about to set it off. I was feeling it. The energy's large and in charge today.
Well, I was
love
just
it.
gonna say what I was gonna say
coming out
is
the gates.
Yeah, I haven't been cursing. I haven't really cursed that much lately. And it feels good. And sometimes when I'm doing this intro, I'm like, I don't want to go so aggressive and be like, what the fuck is up, everybody? But you know what? Today I felt like it was warranted, and sometimes it feels good to just let a fuck roll out of your fucking goddamn face. Cause
Yeah, bro.
I mean,
love this. I live for this, Joel. I live for this. This is your energy, bro. What are you talking about? You backflip off a ship, dog. I think people haven't really been polarized to this podcast, and it hasn't really gone on that viral journey yet because you have not brought the fucking aggressive Joelberg energy. And let's
That's true.
see that today.
That's true. I like that. You know what? I think you hit a point there. And I honestly, from here on out, it's fucking backflips and dick tips, baby. And that's it. That's what I'm here to fucking deliver. I was watching. Do you remember this whole controversy? And I don't remember the year, but the PMRC, I believe, they were trying to censor music. Tipper Gore and Al Gore had an organization. I believe it was in the 80s, and they went after Dee Snider from Twisted Sister and Jello Biafra and all that. Do you remember any of that stuff? Or have you heard of it?
I remember it well. I lived through it. I mean, this was we're talking Body Count. We're
Yes.
talking Twisted Sister. We're talking Two Live Crew.
So there is this great
This
thing.
was the 80s.
Yeah,
Tipper
so
Gore,
they
the
did
PMRC.
a big court case thing, where they brought in the people and to sort of back themselves up and stuff like that. And Dee Snider, he did such a great job, dude. I'm not a Twisted Sister fan or anything, but and I've heard this talked about before, where I think the court thought he was gonna come in like a dumb rock star and mumble and say bunch of bullshit, but he wrote this really dope thing, and it was just great. They made fucking Al Gore and them look like stupid nerds, and basically the coolest thing that he said was, Tipper Gore was going after certain lyrics. He had a song called Under the Knife, and Tipper Gore thought it was about bondage and all this and misogyny and this and that and torture, but really he had written it because one of the bandmates had undergone surgery and was really scared, and it was about the feeling of helplessness and fear when you go into surgery. And the coolest thing I thought Dee Snider said was, lyrics are open to interpretation, and you can have your own artistic idea of what the lyrics are, and if you're looking for something, you will find it. So he was like, so Tipper Gore was looking for torture and all this, and she found it, and basically just said if you're looking for shit, you're gonna find it. And I don't know, he spoke really well, and I really liked it. And another thing was, their fan club was called the crazy motherfuckers, or the bad motherfucking, or the sick motherfuckers or something like that. And Al Gore starts pressing him on it because Dee Snider in the speech is saying he's a Christian, he's doesn't drink or do drugs or anything. And then Al Gore's like, well, the name of your fan club, what is that? That doesn't seem very Christian to me. And he was like, I don't think cursing has anything to do with Christianity. And so I've been thinking about that a lot, and just how, and then there's that new show on Netflix, The History of Curse Words with Nicolas Cage. And it's really interesting, the power of words, and sort of there is this connection of morality and cursing where really there isn't really a connection. It's all about intent. And how you use those words, but just saying fuck or goddamn or motherfucker is benign, I think. And that's
You don't think that Jesus cursed when they nailed him to the cross? I mean,
He was like, "Oh fuck, that hurts." Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I would think if that really happened, that he'd say something.
That's fucking hilarious. That's a really good. That could be a really good bit. And
Like they nail him to the cross, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, "Fuck you guys! You guys are absolutely fucking out of your fucking mind." I
yeah,
do not
wait
deserve this
wait
shit."
and fucking see till the second fucking coming. He's just like.
By
he's
the
like-
way, I don't think any of you motherfuckers are getting into heaven. He's saying shit like that.
Yeah, he's like, God damn it, that hurt. That sucked. And then that's really funny. I like that. But yeah, I just sometimes
He'd be calling out dudes. He'd be calling out dudes by name too, because he's the son of God. So
yeah,
he knows
yeah.
everyone.
Fuck
He'd
you,
be like,
Judas.
Hey, no, he'd be like to the guard. He'd be like, "Hey, John Smith, over there," and the guy'd be like, "How do you know my name?"
He's like, I'm the son of
God.
God.
Bitch. And guess what? You're fucking going to
Bitch.
hell.
I'm
You're
the
going to
son
hell.
of God, bitch. That's so funny. Yeah. I'm the son of God, bitch, and you're going to fucking hell, dude. You're gonna burn, you stupid fuck. That's great. But yeah, so I'm
You'll
just
see. Go check the cave in 40 days, motherfucker. Go check that fucking
Yeah,
cave, you
yeah.
son of a bitch.
there's like cave drawings all over the wall that just say like fuck the Romans and stuff like that. But see, I mean, just the joy that this brought me right now. I mean, I'm literally smiling from the act of cursing, and in that history of words, of curse words, it reminds me. And I only saw the first episode. They have done like scientific tests that like cursing helps with pain and like taking certain feelings. They like they had people dip their hands in like an ice bucket, and the ones that were allowed to curse lasted longer than the ones who couldn't. And so that brings me sort of just to life, and like people that contain stuff a lot, I think, have a harder time going through life because if it's mentionable, it's manageable. We've said that before. That's a Mr. Rogers quote, and you can take that to the fucking bank. But yeah, so I like that. Speaking of mentionable, manageable, I'm gonna take my own advice and talk about some shit that's been going on with me the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Joel, how you doing? Let's take the mental health minute right here. Let's go.
Yeah,
for it.
mental health minute. I'm feeling
doing?
pretty good today, and also I've had some coffee, and I'm having a little bit more, so I'm ramping up here. But I hold on, I gotta burp. What if I just like threw up and farted at the same time? So David, you've known this, but I've kind of been private about it. Your boy had the coronavirus.
I did know that.
Yeah, this is Justin. It's funny because I'm super private with that shit. I don't know why. I'm just like it's just such a personal thing. But it's funny because I tried to hide it, and then the last two shows I've gone back and watched, and I'm constantly like clearing my throat and like sort of. I guess it could be seen as just like I got dry chest or something, but no, I had COVID for the last. I would say about 16, 17 days. I just got my first negative result back. I've been taking tests throughout the whole time trying to see. I took about 3 tests. No. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, every couple of days.
Now, were you taking these tests that they said on the news were like, I mean, all tests are, none of the tests. I think blood work is probably the only way to really.
I've done them all. I did a nasal swab, and that was negative, and that was
Lately, what have you been doing?
Lately I've been doing the swab test. But so the good thing is what they said was these tests they're supposedly and I don't know much about this. I'm not a scientist. Go figure.
I think it's true. They're only false negatives.
Well,
There's no
yes,
false
and
positives.
they're working, and usually the positives are being picked up by symptomatic people. They're not really good at detecting the virus in people that are not symptomatic, I believe, something like that. But but that's why
anyway,
I'm
taking
taking
a bunch of
multiple
tests.
ones. Yeah. So the first one I took was a nasal swab. That was a negative, but I think it just hadn't gestated or whatever in my body yet. And then that Wednesday I took a test, and because it was around the holidays, it took forever to get my results back. So the next Wednesday I found out that last Wednesday I was positive. And then it just sucked, dude. It fucking sucked for a couple of weeks. It was rough, dude. I don't want to fucking go through it again. My chest hurt. Like, that was my biggest thing that I got hit with. I had sniffles and a cough, but really it felt like I had like a little piece of glass in my like left lung and sort of in my back. And that started to kind of, I'm a nervous fucking guy, so I was panicky. But what happens to me, I think like survival just kicked in, and I just sort of was willfully ignorant to it. I was like, I just got to get through this. I talked to my nephew who had it, and the doctor had prescribed him a bunch of vitamins, like not for COVID, but to keep his body strong while he was fighting it off. So we went on Amazon and got all the vitamins, immediately started taking them. And so, yeah, dude, it sucked, man. And even now I still have a little bit of residual sort of like mucus, and my lungs feel not as strong as maybe they were, but I'm hoping that maybe with meditation, again, we're going to jump back into that, breathing techniques and maybe some small walks and then hikes, hopefully can strengthen myself back to where it is. Last week was, when was it? It was, I think Monday was hard. I was having trouble sort of getting full deep breaths, but that's gone now. And it was pretty fucking, it's scary, man. And then me and my girl were cooped up here for, I think we've been in the house maybe anywhere from 17 to 19 days now. And what happened was, and that was kind of quiet about it, because it's like my girlfriend didn't sign up to be in the public eye or anything like that. So I'm always like worried. But today I was like, hey, you cool if I talk about this? She's like, yeah, whatever. It's fucking, someone at her job had tested positive, and then, but they were so good about handling it. Like, they paid for everyone to get rapid tests, and then after that paid for them to get these crazy, like, in-depth, like PRC tests or something. And they're not cheap, but took care of it. They hired a viral, what do you call it? Fumigating service, who is like, that is their thing. They know how to like fumigate places for viruses and stuff, and did that. And then this all started happening like Christmas Day. She got an email about it. So our Christmas Day, like the night was like, oh fuck. And then we thought we were good the next day, because we both.
Luckily, if you were planning on going to see your parents, you know what I mean. Like, luckily it came Christmas Day and not the day after Christmas. If you were planning on seeing your parents, but
yeah. So that was. No, it was just it was wild, dude. It was a lot. It was a lot of emotional valleys that I've been through multiple times, but have been good every other time, with my fingers crossed. But this time it was just my fucking number, man. And she tested positive that Monday, because her nasal swab was negative on Sunday. She went back the next day to get the in-depth test, and then that took 12 hours. So that night, she got the email that it was positive, and I was just like, oh fuck, like, here we go. I probably have it. I mean, there's some weird anomalies. I've known couples where one got it and the other didn't, but my chest had kind of been feeling sort of funky, but I'm also up here a lot in my mind, and so that's another thing I want to talk about this week, actually. We'll get back to this. Anyway, let's finish this. Well, no, let's get into this. You
kind of said it. You had COVID, and now you feel better.
Yeah, I'm getting better, but I wanted to bring this up because I think it's crazy that there are people that still don't believe it's a real thing. So I didn't want to talk about it at all on the show, but then I was like, I'm going to say it because, I went through it. It sucks. It ain't fun. And it's absolutely fucking real. And I'll tell you what, like, going into life now, I'm going to be a lot more careful. I mean, I was way more careful than some, but not as much as some others. And so I think I'm going to be a lot more vigilant about it. Got lucky. Like, my parents are good too. They've been tested. And another cool thing is my mom is eligible for the vaccine soon. So I'm really looking forward to her getting that. And all you fucking trolls in the comments, I don't want to hear it. You have zero science to back.
We don't
up
have a lot of. We don't.
I know. There's always one.
Like, relax.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. Like, let the trolls troll. Like, we don't have them yet. So
you know what the
cares?
trolls get? You get a big fat purple dildo smacking you across the fucking earlobes, because that's how we do it in this house.
Yeah, Joel's gonna like put the dildo on and then do a backflip, like, wrestling move.
Exactly.
And then while you're like raising your neck back, yelling, "Oh no!"
Yeah, and I'm gonna write the word COVID on the dildo, and it's just gonna.
He's gonna deep throat it right down your.
But what I was gonna get at is, like, what sucks about people like me who are anxiety prone and sort of hypochondriacs, is that when you get actually sick, like, sometimes people will still throw out little things like, oh, I'm sure it's a lot of it is like mental, and you want to go, no, bitch, I'm fucking sick, dude. Like, I feel sick. Like, I get it. They're right. Like, I have been, let's say I've been a hypochondriac 90% of the time. I get it. It is a bit of boy cried wolf syndrome, but also I'm also allowed to be annoyed at the times when I'm actually sick, and they're like, well, I'm sure the mind is power. I'm like, no, my lungs hurt. Anyway, so that sucks. That's the only thing that sucks. Sometimes, you know what's crazy? Let's say in the past, I've had people do that. Like, I'm on my way to the doctor because I feel something, and then they're like, dude, it's probably all in your head. I'm like, no, dude. And then in my head, secretly, I kind of want to have something so that I can come back and be like, see, I fucking told you, dude, I got this fucking whatever. And that's a sick way to live. Don't do that. You should never hope you're sick just to prove a point. That's insane. That's crazy. But
You're
that's
like, look, I got cancer. Fuck you. I was right the whole time. I knew I was gonna die of cancer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's those things are, I have had those thoughts. And this is another weird thing. As I'm saying that, I didn't even want to say the word cancer, and I still don't. As I said that, I'm going to freak out because I still have this weird superstitious thing where if I speak a certain thing, I speak it into existence, which has zero factual. Okay. That's Catholicism, I think.
I was actually going to say, yeah, and I mean, Jews do it too, to be honest with you, but that's the other side of the coin. I was going to ask you if you feel it's the hypochondriacs and then the superstitious. Right? Because they're the opposites. They're opposites. You know?
I have both.
One person will just be like, look, you'll never get sick if you just don't think about it. If you're totally positive, it's all in your energy. It's the energy. If you start to think about being sick, you attract being sick. So if you say cancer, you're gonna get cancer. That's not true. Cancer. You know what I mean? It's like
there is still a piece of me that is freaking out when you say it.
Die of. Yeah, I get it. It's like hard to like. That is a religious thing.
Yeah,
it's hard to go against that. It's like God's not real. Come and prove me wrong. God, strike me down. You know, it's just it's like I don't want to like try to prove a point, but it's like, dude, people have been doing that for years, and they've lived a long, healthy life. Richard Dawkins has been doing it his whole life, and trust me. And then other people have been super religious and great people and have died horrible deaths.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't give in to superstition. It's just superstition. Anyway,
no, well, that's the thing. It's like I know it in my head, like, mathematically, I'm like, this is not a real fucking thing. But whatever. That's old habits die hard, especially like indoctrinated ones. Like I brought this up billions of times on this show. Not a billion. I don't know math. I didn't graduate. Neil Brennan said that Catholicism is like a Gatorade bottle. Like, you can, no matter how much you wash the bottle out after you've drank the Gatorade, it will always taste a little bit like Gatorade. And that's like my mentality as far as like being raised in the Catholic Church and stuff like that. And also, I'm glad that you brought that up. I think it is true. Like, Jewish people and Catholic people have extremely similar, the stain of religion, like what it does to your mental thing. They are so similar in the guilt factor, I believe, and that's fucking crazy. Anyway, I always think about that, like what happened to my voice there? I always think about that. Like what fucked me up, like I think definitely chemical imbalance, like for sure I have a chemical imbalance of some sort. Because as a child, like I was diagnosed in like the 4th grade with like with panic disorder and like clinical depression and those sort of things. So at that age, I was happy. It just started kind of happening to me, and I didn't know what was happening. But then also I'm like, my parents didn't like really like nothing happened. Like, I had a pretty good childhood, like of course, like everybody has their own sort of things, and I was like, I think the church did it. Like, my first panic attack was in a church, and like I remember the feeling like vividly, man. I was in the choir, and at one point we had to go to some funeral to sing at the funeral, and like we didn't even know this person, so you bring these kids. I must have been fourth or 5th grade, and they bring us to this funeral of this person I don't know, and there's a dead body in a casket, and we have to sing these minor chord fucking sad haunting like Catholic hymns, which to this day, like, minor chords fuck me up, man. I'm very sensitive to music, and I'm sure it's connected. And then you have this sensory sort of shit, like the coldness of the church, the fucking Stations of the Cross, all these monolithic, Jesus is hanging from a cross. I don't like I never understood the realistic Jesus. Like, it's like fucking Halloween Horror Nights Jesus, like, or Dana Gould had a joke. He called it like John Carpenter presents Jesus or something like that. Like these uber real, like, why can't you just have like a copper Jesus or like a gold Jesus or like steel or wood?
No, you can't have a gold
No,
Jesus.
it's got to
That would
be
like the
flesh.
golden
It's
calf.
got to be flesh colored. Oh, like that's really like that's so funny, right? Like the Catholic Church will talk shit about the golden calf, this and that, and then the priest will come out in these gaudy ass robes that are like woven with fucking gold, and then they got the
in a marble castle, in like
Exactly,
a gigantic
yeah.
marble castle with like stained glass windows. Yeah,
which
get
I
it,
love
but-
artistically. I do like I
Sure.
like religious imagery, and I like sacrilegious artwork as well. But anyway, so I'm sitting in this church at 4th or 5th grade. All these sensory. There's an actual dead person. There's a fake dead person that's painted to look like a real dead person. There's a dude swinging fucking smoke from the frankincense fucking thing. So it's a complete sensory overload. They're fucking splashing you with cold holy water. You're singing these minor
Speaking
chords.
a foreign language, speaking Latin, like that.
Yes,
that
yes,
language.
exactly, yeah. Exactly, yeah, exactly.
He's like chanting this weird shit.
That, like, there you're looking at all your other, you're there with a bunch of other people who are mourning and crying. The pews are made of wood and sort of creaky, and then your full body is in it because you're kneeling, you're standing. It's almost the perfect recipe for a complete mental breakdown if you're like not in the right frame of mind. And that's where I remember having it. And I still remember like sort of looking down at the tile and the smell of the frankincense and seeing the dead body and hearing the music. And it's a fucking trip, man. I when I was into photography, I wanted
Did you
to go,
think to your did you like when you looked at the dead body? Did you think to yourself something like, "What if this guy is going to hell?"
No, not at all. Because at that point, I sort of, my mom had sort of like gotten me out of that, because I remember a priest telling us, I think I asked him, like, will you go to hell if you don't go to church every Sunday? And I think he said yes. And I remember coming home and like crying to my mom, like we need to go. Like the priest said we're gonna go to hell if we don't go to church every Sunday. And she was like, nah, he's tripping. Like, you're fine. Just be a good person. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Like, and my mom to me was the authority on everything, over the priest, over my teachers. Like,
Right.
I was like, fuck them. They don't know anything. Like, she's protected me all these years. Like, why would I listen to this fucking idiot? And so I wasn't, after that moment, I don't think I was afraid of hell and damnation. I think that it was more the fear of death. The fear of death, and then this total sense. Dude, you couldn't fucking recreate this in a haunted house. I mean, I guess you could. If you really wanted to have a really good haunted house, dude, you would think about it, dude. All those things, man. Like, you got the visuals, you got the smell, you have like atmospheric stuff going on, you got fucking music. It's like, and you got different senses, like cold water, the heat from your body because you're panicking. So like all of that stuff is a complete recipe for terror. I mean, I could see if you wanted to
Not just terror. I mean, it's a good recipe for invoking emotions.
Yes,
which is why people get
and
quote unquote.
and the emotion that it invoked in me was terror, is what I should say. But it's like,
I get that.
yeah. So and I've been to some haunted houses that are pretty good, that maybe get like 3 out of those like 6 things. But could you imagine? I had a buddy.
So you're
who
saying
went to
nothing's
this
as
really
scary as the
expensive haunted
Catholic
house,
Church.
like maybe at least 8 years ago, something, maybe less. It was one of these ones where you have to go in alone, and they're like, it's like $100 for a fucking ticket. Like in those warehouses downtown and stuff, it's like artist groups that do these things. And he went in alone, and I guess before you sign up to buy your ticket, you have to give them like your name, like you give them all this info. And they basically had this hallway with frames in it, and the frames were photos of him and all his friends. So I guess they go through your Facebook or whatever, and they get these photos, and they were like digital frames or whatever. And he's walking through this hallway seeing these photos of himself, and it's a trip. It starts to fuck with you because it's just another level of your senses. And yeah, I don't know. I think it worked me into a real state of fear, man. And but I was gonna say, when I was into photography for a little while, I wanted to go back into the same church, and take photos in the pew, like, or at least near the area where I remember it happening. But if you're ever in town, it's Incarnation Catholic Church in Glendale. Is where that was, man. And then and I think that's when it really started. Like, I started having more and more panic attacks from that age onward, until maybe I discovered like skateboarding and music and stuff like that, and then I was free from it for a while. And then as my responsibilities got more and more, they sort of crept back onto me. But I don't even know how the fuck we got here.
That's your business, man, not mine. I mean, it's your world, man. Are you organized? Do you have a little outline of what you want to talk about, or are you just free balling?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but that was fun. I thought I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah,
because I had
it was great
of a path work. I would say the more
some of that stuff you were talking about with like the church and stuff was absolutely intriguing. Like, you know, the way they use theater, and it's not far from black metal. You know what I mean? It's really not. They're using dead G.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
religious
for sure.
iconography. And
did you get a chance to watch that thing yet?
Yeah, I totally did. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it on the Patreon or whatever, but yeah, I mean, I totally did.
Yeah, I guess we'll do it on the Patreon. We'll just like a broad thing, because I haven't finished the one that I sent. It's been a while since I watched that other one that I sent you, but
I don't know if you. I just watched the one from Vice. I watched the black
one.
metal.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing, man. So good.
But yeah, like, you know, the goat's head, stuff like that, or it's, you know, in a sense, I mean, not to invoke his name again, but like G.G. Allen it's also the all those senses, you know, like the ability to fucking actually hit somebody, the smell of the poop, the music, you know.
Rammstein. Like I trip
Rammstein's
on this too,
dope,
like,
dude.
I trip on this too, because is there anyone, like, you know, like, is there any group, you know, when you look at Insane Clown Posse and how popular they are, is there any group that has done like the kind of theater route of using makeup, using a stage show, using pyrotechniques, using anything and music? Is there any group that's done that that hasn't been successful? I mean, Kiss, Gwar, Insane Clown Posse, Rammstein,
Slipknot even.
Slipknot. It's like these bands are just massive because
there were
they
a few
put
bands
together,
that
like,
jumped on the Slipknot sort of train that maybe didn't get the mainstream huge success, but are probably still, like Mudvayne was one, or like Mushroom Head, where they like wore masks and stuff. But you're right. You're right.
But a mask is one thing. I mean, to go all out with like the full, like King Diamond is another one.
Yeah,
like,
Ghost. That band Ghost that I like.
To go with the full on, you know, to go with the full on
theatrical.
And Proof is in these black metal bands that are like super popular, and their music is so like specific, but the whole stories behind everything, even the rumors, even like them talking about how they kind of create drama in the media as like a way to kind of like who's the most evil guy and like all that shit. And it's like, you know, it creates stories and people are interested in that. And like, there's no one that has done that hasn't been successfl, at least that I can tell.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about that is like what you're saying is it appeals to that like sensory experiment. I mean, even like Marilyn Manson was doing it a lot, like even in the early days, like
Marilyn Manson
setting up like atmosphere, you know. I think atmosphere is like super important. And you know, it's basically like what is it called when you go see like a movie?
I call it brainwashing, but I don't know what anyone else calls it.
Whatever,
it's kind
dude.
of.
You need, first of all, as my mom would say, you need to have a brain to wash, first of all. But yeah, it's a trip, man. It's I like the bands who have full on like mythologies behind them, you know, like a fake story behind it, you know, like Gwar, right? They're like from another planet, and you know, when the band would do interviews or their texts, they would refer to themselves as like the human slave to like Odorous or whatever. It's
Devo.
Like,
Devo's like that.
Yeah,
Devo's
great,
got a great
man.
like story. And
but
what were you gonna say? You were saying like when I interrupted you, you said I call it brainwashing. You said I don't know what they call it, but you said something about movie theaters.
Yeah. What's the thing like they do? They play before, like, you know, in Hateful Eight, there's like is it overture or it's some sort of music they play at the beginning to sort of get your body into the vibe of what you're about to watch. I can't remember what it's called. It's a certain title for like a musical piece. I think it's overture, maybe.
It could be overture. That is a word.
But so
Overture.
like when a band, the lights go out and then you hear like an organ sound or something, and then a fucking beam of light hits the stage, and then like those sort of things I think are the same thing as like a Catholic Church sort of ceremony in a sense, where it's starting to you're starting to buy into the world, and then it creates this thing that is almost bigger than the music. It's a full body feel for what you're about. It's the same thing with Insane Clown Posse, throwing the soda, like the Faygo, like, it's part of it, dude. I've been to an ICP show. I was a fucking
I'll be honest with you, and I
juggalo for a while.
apologize. I apologize, Joel, and I'm proud to say this.
Yeah.
I really don't know anything about the Insane Clown Posse. Like, what are you talking
Okay.
about? They throw soda? Tell us.
So they throw Faygo.
Tell us.
That was like their thing. So back in the day, before
What's
Faygo?
Faygo?
Faygo, now hipsters know it because they started selling it in glass bottles and stuff at like these hipster joints. But Faygo is basically the cheapest fucking soda that you could get, and I think it's like it was like a Midwest thing or whatever. But in Detroit, they grew up drinking. It's like Shasta or whatever, and that was one of their gimmicks when they started, was they would throw Faygo at the crowd, and then like tons of it, like soak. Like tons of it, like never ending 2 liters of Faygo, and they had like a Faygo gun at one point, and it was just part of their stage show.
They would open the bottle cap and like dump
Yeah,
actual
throw it
liquid
at the
on
crowd
people?
and stuff. Yeah, like throw it,
spray
like
it on the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I went to one of their shows, and it was dope, man. It was really fun. Like, I think they get a bad rap. What's funny? I finally found the photo of me as a juggalo in the 8th grade, and so maybe we'll
Wow.
insert that right here.
Oh my God! Look
Yeah.
at that. Like, honestly, wow! I can't believe
Yeah.
that you'd admit this to people. This
I don't
feels like
give
it has
a
to be.
fuck.
This
So
feels
here's-
like it has to be an entire Patreon episode. Just
I think so too.
Joel-
I wanted to write an article called "I Was a Teenage Juggalo" because I have a whole sort of theory behind, like, why I was into it. It was like,
let's dedicate a whole Patreon to it. This is a perfect Patreon. Joel the Juggalo. This
Okay,
is good.
cool.
Yeah, like that's a Patreon. That's an entire episode.
so
Do
then
a lot
maybe
of
we
research.
don't show the photo yet. We'll do it on the Patreon.
No, we gotta save that. That's for people who are willing to pay $3 a month. I mean,
Nice.
not
Hell
to
yeah.
not to sound like a manager.
No, we
Not
need
to sound
to
like
do
your
it.
manager, but it's like that's a special dude. A photo. I was gonna say you're just gonna give that to people, like a photo of yourself as a juggalo.
What's
That's
funny
intense.
is I got one of my other buddies into it. So me and my other buddy were like hardcore, like into it. So, and then anyway, the other 2 guys that were there, we sort of they didn't have costumes for the Halloween. It was for Halloween. We're like, we're going to school like this because like we were big fans, and then we sort of convinced 2 of our friends to do it as well. And
it's an interesting time to talk about that, Joel, because we're talking about influence and kind of at a time when people literally just tried to take over the United States government, and what it's a very similar type of thing, like the power to like influence someone to like come to a concert and get sprayed with sticky soda
mhm.
is very similar to like the influence that would force people to have a panic attack thinking about death, and also to maybe riot over.
Yeah,
the
I think what we're getting at is like, I mean, first of all, words are important. I mean, because the words and music together. I mean, this is like a hot stoner take where I'm like, dude, words and music together move people.
Bro.
But it's like, start at that, and then if you really want to fucking, then you take it a step further and create shit in the real world that they can like. Dude, did you ever hear about the what was the fucking place? There was this house in San Francisco that did that. That they had a it was these artists who created this house where you got an invite. It was like a card, and then you would go to this house and it would send you on this crazy like scavenger hunt, and then they would throw it was this, what was it called? Axis. Fuck, I forget it. I don't know if
I mean, what else would they do? I don't understand what you're saying. You'd get an invite. How do you get the invite?
Somebody
know
would
who
just
you are?
hand it to you. Like sometimes, like I just watched. What was it called? Hold on. Are you near a computer that you can
course.
access? Anyway, I don't know. It's sort of like how these like, it was this. fuck, I want to look it up, but I don't want to like break this to like to go off and like start looking this up. What
Well,
is
then
the
we'll do
house?
it another time. Just
Okay.
kind of generalize. It's no problem.
It's basically this. It was like, say you're like, you go to this record store or whatever all the time, and you don't feel like anybody really notices you, but maybe one of the employees has seen you there a couple of weeks, and they do this research. They kind of see who you are as a person. I don't know if they look into your background, whatever. And one day they hand you this like envelope thing, and it's an invite to this address, and it's like, hey, whatever. And you get the card, and it's got a little code on it and a website. And you go to the website, and it plays a audio clip that's like, you have been invited to this, blah blah blah. Like, you have to come alone. You have to like surrender all your belongings when you go in. You put them in a box, and then this house is like beautifully designed. Like, there's this wooden slide that you put all your stuff in a box, you go down this wooden slide, and then you end up in this room with all these books, like an old library. And then you open the book up, and then they tell you the story of this sort of like fable about basically like there was this town, and they were free to do business with all these other towns around, but then somebody puts a wall up, and so now they're living in this walled world. But this one guy decides he wants to chip away at this wall and see what's on the other side of it, and he gets free, and then whatever. And it was basically these artists created.
How do you
this,
know about this stuff? Like,
they
did
did
you
a
go to the room?
documentary, because what happened
okay.
was
We gotta find this documentary.
I watched it. Yeah, I'm trying to Axis.
We'll find it. We'll find
Yeah.
it. It doesn't matter. Like, don't worry about that.
It does,
We'll
because I
find
want to
it.
drop the name right now. So I'll talk through it while I go through this. But anyway, what happened was the people. Let me see. In Bright Axiom was one of the things they would say. But so basically, the people that got involved, they sort of took it very seriously, and it became a sort of religion thing. So the movie is called In Bright Axiom, and it is about the House of Latitude. That is the name of the house. And so these people took it very seriously and almost created a sort of religion around it. And they ended up getting too big for them to handle. And they had this town hall, and it sort of got out of hand a little bit, and sort of kind of killed the thing, where people were like, wait a minute, like, we thought they were just buying into it too much. And so I think they decided to do the documentary to sort of like put that fire out. But it started in San Francisco. Hold on. Latitude House. But it was
I'm trying
really,
to look it up right now, but I
Yeah.
don't see. I see a lot of stuff for the film,
Yeah, let me see.
but
House of Latitude Wikipedia. Oh, fuck.
I'm getting there. Hold on. Now that I know that's Latitude House.
Yeah, it's House
Oh.
of Latitude. Maybe that's why it wasn't House of Latitude Wiki. But anyway, so this was a full sensory thing. They would go into, you get this coordinate to go to this house, and you have to look in the house for a certain thing, and then you meet with these other people, and then they had tied this pink string through the forest for miles, and they had to follow the string, and they get to this, they finally they see these lanterns, and then there's a party, and probably drugs and stuff.
Dude, this sounds insane. Like, I don't see a Wikipedia yet, but the first thing I saw is a Vice News article. This is from 2016. My year in San Francisco's $2 million secret society startup.
Yeah.
So it's clearly like some kind of art project that is also a secret society. Why don't we just watch?
Yeah.
Why don't we just
For
like
sure.
watch the documentary and come back next week and
Sure. Everybody go watch House
The
of Latitude.
yeah.
But
I
it,
mean,
it sort of crumbled
I think everyone's gonna watch it anyway because you've already mentioned it and it sounds fucking insane. So yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah,
what happened? It crumbled.
Yeah, it
Because
sort of
people
crumbled.
took it too seriously.
People took it too serious, and eventually they were sort of losing money on these projects because they are very avant-garde, expensive, especially in San Francisco. Avant-garde sort of like experiences, and they had this town hall, and they were basically saying like, we need to. So their whole thing was what was it called? Discretion, like something discretion, like absolute discretion. That was their thing, where you couldn't like talk about it, like this and that, basically like a Fight Club thing. And
Secret society, right?
yeah, they do this town hall though to sort of tell the people who came like, hey, this isn't sustainable anymore. Like, we need to be less discreet with this in order to sustain this thing. And they were sort of pitching the idea that these people should pay money to be a part of this society now. Like, I think it was like $35 a month or something, and people lost their minds. They were like, they didn't want to pay for it. Like, and one of the artists, the guy who created it, he was just like, damn, like, you got to watch it. It really just sort of like imploded on itself, where people were very angry. And so the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, well, if it's so secret, how did they make this movie? And it's obviously they had to make the movie to expand the thing and sort of like take the power out of the secret thing, because it had become something that they didn't intend. And they used a lot of sort of what I would consider like religious practices, as far as like like a practice, like say like not meditating, but
Chanting, probably. I'm sure they use a lot of like chanting or dancing
yeah, like I would say like maybe dancing, but also like you would go into this room that had sand all over the floor and there were objects all over the room, and you would have to create an art piece using these objects, which is also a psychology tactic, to sort of like unearth like inner feelings that you have, to bring them to light, like create these scenes of whatever. Say they have a monkey and you put the monkey near this thing, and you would go into this other room and touch these orbs, and there like what I was saying with the church, it's these sense things. You're touching and you're also smelling, and there's music and these sense things and people really took that shit to heart and took ownership of it. And
sounds incredible. It sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I think what happens when the money gets involved, people get angry because they realize they're being scammed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that these people weren't being scammed, but
they feel scammed. They
feel
scammed.
gypped because they whatever. But
because they've given so much of their soul to it,
Yes,
and they've felt something so deep to their core, they don't equate that with money. But it's like weird how religious people like ask for money, and like or like some of these, I don't want to even say the names, but like that one really famous cult in California that has all the actors in it.
For sure. Yeah.
They
also use that same tactic.
They tax super hard, They tax. It's all about money. It's all about money. You're not allowed to even fucking like everything's money.
Yeah.
But no one gets mad. Like it's like, what? You're being scammed. How do you not see that?
And it sucks because like one of the artists, he's just like, he cries at a certain point because he's just like, damn, like this was just supposed to bring joy, and then it became this thing that just became deeper. I mean, he realized like the power of stories, and like that you tell this story and like what stories do to people, and they buy into the story. And it's sort of what you were saying. I mean, it's like with these bands that have this mythology and sort of like this background, and I've always said it, like with products, just going into a store or with wine, or like a lot of times if I was going to go buy wine or something, rather than buying a product, I would buy a story. If they were like, this is a female-owned winery and they do this thing and it's been in the family for years and they try to make this like, this is their thing, I was like, damn, I'll buy that. Like I think humans buy a story. They don't buy a product,
Well, we need to come up with a story for this podcast then, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We need to like, this was created by a guy in the mountains of Tibet.
Yeah, he passed me the knowledge. I mean, it's like, it's like the Mormon thing. I mean, the dude had those seeing stones and he saw the thing. It's like, they are sort of simple stories that have happened throughout the generations of like man's existence, and stories move people, man. And that's what that documentary really what I would like to do if we can, because there's this new thing on Instagram stories, like you can watch along with friends. Like there is a thing where you could do watch alongs.
I'll look that up. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. Maybe we can even get your Twitch going. I want to start.
I've been getting ads for that where it's like watch with friends now. So maybe we can watch a thing with the Patreon. It'd be fun.
I'll figure that out. I mean, we can definitely do that. Like, we can definitely do that on like the illegal tip and just stream it and just like do a live stream and just like fuck it, who cares? Because we're only going to get X amount of people.
Yeah.
But I'll look into like a more professional version of it.
Well,
too.
I think
but especially if we do
legally,
if we do. Go ahead.
I think legally, as long as we don't show the movie, if it's our faces that they see but not the content, I think we're okay.
Oh, we can definitely do that. But I was also just gonna say we could set it up where we just show the movie as well because it's a live stream. So they either just like shut us down or not, and we'll just we'll be able to figure out a way to do that because we're only gonna get like so many people, and I'll do some research on that and like I'll look at the legalities of it and the illegalities of it, and I think if we do cult movies and keep it kind of like low key, should be totally. It could, because people on Twitch watch the news and shit like that, so it's like they show the news and then they have like their faces on there like talking about it
For sure.
and so people we could try it, we could just try it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
that'd
that's
be
a great
fun.
idea.
It's weird because as we're like talking about this, I get like a really there's a bit of an eerie feeling around it to me. At least I feel like just sort of the idea that how simple it begins and then how it ends up in the end of it, as far as like this artist,
People drinking Kool-Aid and shit like that.
Yeah,
it can
dude,
go bad.
yeah.
It usually does go bad. It usually goes bad. It's rarely good.
Yeah, it's
So-
but it also it's it's a bigger sort of thing because it's if you really want to like pinpoint the way that actions change people, it's like I last night there's this new Richard Ramirez documentary on Netflix and it was great. We watched all 3 hours of it last night. It's like 4 episodes that are 45 minutes each, and that dude was I didn't realize how many people he got. It's like it was a lot. It was like 13 to 14 confirmed, and then probably various others that they didn't.
I don't know. I
find.
mean, is he a murderer? Is he another murderer?
Yeah,
Like-
Richard Ramirez was the Night Stalker. He was basically he
Right.
killed.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know who he is now.
Yeah, and it was but so after they catch him, they get into like what made this man. His dad would tie him to a cross like in this like cemetery overnight and like leave him there when he was a kid. And you think
Wow.
about nature, nurture, but now that we're talking about all these sort of external things that affect a human being's mentality, it's interesting to think that even like this art colony. I mean, thank God that they were like, it seemed like they were good people, because if they wanted to, you can really wield this power for evil and change people. And I'm just thinking,
we've seen it.
yes,
we've seen
yes.
it.
And just I always think about that. I mean, anytime I'm reading about a murderer or something, I'm like, well, what was this guy's childhood like? Because I'm sure there are those anomalies that they're a genetic sort of mutation or whatever, and whatever it is, and they're already sort of skewed. But
Not
more
many.
often than not, I think that it is absolutely something that happened to them in their childhood. And man, it's a really well documentary too. It's well made. Really good interviews with the people, and what kind of separated this dude was how random the killings were, as far as what he was doing to them, who he was targeting, the ages, the sex of the people. He was going after men, women, old people, young people, children, boys, girls, everybody, with strangling, hammers, guns. Sometimes he would assault.
Oh, he was a
people and just
well-rounded
let them
being, man.
go.
He was a well-rounded guy. He was he's eclectic.
Yeah, he had an eclectic taste of fucking insanity. And then what's even crazier, he had groupies at the end, man. It's like in the courtroom, like women were sending him like nude photos and stuff in prison. And like,
Was he hot? Was he hot?
I think he had this weird like rock and roll look, like quality to him. The weird thing though is like all the reports of people who had spotted him said his teeth were fucked up. And that was part of how they caught him, was a dentist in Chinatown.
Oh, no spoilers. Oh my God, Joel.
Oh
spoilers.
God, shut up!
Whoa,
If you haven't
what's that?
seen
They
it, this
caught
happened
him?
in '85.
My
dude.
God, how do?
Yeah.
You fucked it up for me, man.
And
I
he's
can't
dead
believe-
now. If that,
Oh, what
yeah.
else?
That's about it, actually. No, and it's
I think
It's just
Manson
great.
had groupies, and it definitely Ted
Manson.
Bundy.
Oh,
when
dude, did you hear that new
Ted
Blind
Bundy.
Boy about that? You talked about the
No, I
Manson.
haven't.
Oh,
yeah, I
it's
did.
so
I
good.
did. The Manson one, I did. Yeah, I did.
Dude, it's
And
so good.
His connection to Charles Manson was connected to the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic.
Yes, exactly. Which was
Guess who
connected to MK Ultra and all that sort of stuff.
Guess who worked? Well, that's what he says. I mean, I
Yes,
don't know,
well,
like,
he
it's
said,
not-
yeah,
It's
he-
not
he-
It's not the free clinic. It's like one of the guys who knew. You know what I mean? Anyway,
Yeah.
guess who worked at the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic?
You.
You got it.
Damn crazy.
Yes. Connections, as Brody would say.
Crazy, dude.
Connections.
Wow.
Me and Charles Manson, just like that, bro. We could have been hanging out.
I don't know, man. I don't think he would have liked the tone of your voice or the cut of your jib.
Manson, yeah, and he wasn't big fans of dudes.
I want to
He
know where
liked
cut of the jib
puss.
comes from. I'm fascinated with phrases and stuff. Cut of your jib. I was hearing about the
I'm fascinated with phrases too, like
raining cats and dogs. You know what that's from?
no, I don't.
I think it was, I don't know what era it was, but it would rain, before like the sewer systems and stuff or whatever. So when it would rain a lot, like all these like animals, I guess, that would drown or end up in these things, they would, as the sewers filled up, they would come out into the streets, and so the next day you would have dead animals around the streets, and so that's where like raining cats and dogs came from. I believe that's what I heard. But yeah,
I
like
thought it
that.
was because when it was raining and it would give people kind of weird like cover to throw their cats out the window, like fuck this cat.
Well, cats and wet dogs, it's because when it would rain on white people, they would smell like wet dogs. And
By the way, we're almost done, so
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap it up soon. But as a producer, I want to say there's a lot of stories out there that I'm gonna like start pitching to you because I like these, like how you're kind of getting more into like stories and like talking about stuff. Like the
Yeah.
house was amazing. That was
Yeah.
incredible. Like.
I think you'll
Energy.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Energy. Oh, I know I'll enjoy it. I'm already, dude, I can't wait to turn this fucking podcast off and get out. That's why I'm trying to wrap it up. But,
Yeah.
what I was going to say was I had just recently saw something, and I believe it was an NPR or This American Life or something, where there was a scientist who was talking about how cats can fall from 25 stories and survive.
Yeah. Whoa.
So, yeah, we should talk about that, but not on this episode, but I'll
Dude.
send you the link.
Yeah, I love that. Also,
That's
just-
crazy.
This
Yeah.
is crazy because I don't know what the so I got really into This American Life for a while, and I listened to so many of them, and I was always looking for this one episode about a hole in the ground that, if anybody knows, I guess that's all I really remember was there was this hole in the ground. This woman finds this hole in the ground, and I don't know if somebody was talking to her through it or something happened, but there was a hole in the ground, and there was this American Life. So if anybody out there hears that and can point me in the right direction of the NPR This American Life about a hole in the ground with something. Anyway,
By the way, if you have if you were one of the people who got Showtime to check out the Comedy Store documentary, there's a This American Life 2 seasons of the TV show on there that's awesome. And also there's an episode with stand-up comics.
yeah, the Big
and
Fish open mic, right, in Glendale.
Brody's on that.
Damn. Yeah.
Kyle Kinane is on that,
Yes, it was about
Bunch of
the
people-
Big
bunch of
Fish
people.
spot in Glendale.
Right.
It was famous
which looked horrible.
dive bar open mic that a train would come. What was that guy's name? Denver something. Denver Smith. I think he was in he ended up being in like some commercials and movies later on, but he was in that too.
Did you ever do that
I
mic?
didn't.
It looked
no, I was
horrendous.
going to, but I never ended up getting out there, man. I got invited a couple times, but didn't ever make it. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're almost wrapping up, so I won't get into any other of the fucking crazy things that I want to talk about because we'll save that
we
for
are
another one.
We
But,
are wrapping up. We're wrapping it up, Joel. But keep wrap it up. Like,
Yeah.
slowly. Take your time, Joel.
I will. I'm trying to think about I don't know. My birthday's next week. My birthday's January 18th. That's coming up. That's interesting.
Nice.
Everybody, I think a lot of people at this point have celebrated a birthday in quarantine or in this new world. I really don't give a fuck. I've never really been a go out kind of person. I get real nervous about who I'm going to invite, who I'm not going to invite. So I'd usually be like, hey, I'll be at this bar at this time. If you guys want to come out. So now I'll be probably inside or in a field somewhere 6 feet away from people, enjoying it that way. I think I'm going to, I don't know. So we'll see. But not.
I got you a present. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, sure. Tell me.
It's the silicone for the breakable bottle.
Nice. Hell yeah. Well, then the payoff will be when I get to smash one on you
True.
or you on me.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, it's definitely going down.
That's fun. That feels good. Speaking
No, we're
about
gonna kill it.
full sensory things, smashing a bottle on someone's head and knowing it's not gonna kill them is so fun. So that's that. Okay, that'll be the wrap up here. But so that reminds me of like back to haunted houses and stuff. There is something about that, smashing the bottle on someone's head, knowing it's not going to hurt them, which brings up the term in my mind, controlled chaos. And I love controlled chaos. It's why I love horror movies. It's why I love going to Halloween horror nights. I like that feeling of fear and knowing that I'm not going to die. That's why roller coasters
You like backflipping off of stereo speakers?
I would say that that's almost less controlled chaos because you can actually get fucked up doing that. I watched the clip a lot of the time Holtzman was on the show, where I flipped and I think I slipped on the ground. I went back, and like fucked my heel up for like a while, dude. I want like a very long time, like I want to say longer than 6 to 8 weeks, like a few months.
Right, but you weren't gonna die from that.
No. But
you
if I
could
hit my
snap your
head or
neck,
something,
obvious.
yeah,
Like, yeah, you could. But it's still controlled chaos because
I guess so.
You generally, you're not like, oh, let's see what happens. You're like, I'm gonna.
But I
make
guess,
it.
because I guess I was gonna bring up like mosh pits, but there is still a chance of bodily
People have
injury.
definitely died in mosh pits.
Yeah, for sure. And that's another interesting thing. Did you ever hear about that Lamb of God trial? You know the band Lamb of God?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
So there was this whole thing where this stage diver he died. He hit his head, and they held the singer, in prison in like some country. Where was it? Like. They held him in prison for like, I guess for murder, for killing this guy. And that was a whole thing. He was like stuck in this prison and eventually he got out, but he wrote a book about it. It's like, that's another thing we'll look up. Let's take note of all these things. I want to hear the cat thing. I want to do that. I want to do black metal. I want to do a bunch of shit. So that's good stuff to plan on. But yeah, so I love controlled chaos, smashing a fake bottle on somebody, stunt work, somebody sort of jumping off a roof into a mattress, haunted houses, these full sensory haunted houses, or this Latitude house, or I think church is also a sense of controlled chaos because there is this sort of talk of spiritual warfare, but there you feel safe because you're saved and this and that. And I remember I went to Christian camp, and I swear to God I'll wrap this up now. And I went to Christian camp one time, and when I was like a born again, and the guy it was late at night, and he was talking to me about how there's spiritual warfare going on around us at all times, and that we're lucky because we're saved, so we don't have to worry about it. And I remember panicking in my head. I was like, this is too much for me right now. I don't need to know there's like angels and demons at war like all the time around us. Because I sort of bought into it at the time, and it fucked me up. Anyway, so there's that. But not to get into that, I am going through my own full sensory thing right now where I'm talking to you, I'm listening to you, I'm watching myself in the camera talk to you. I had coffee, which is a taste thing, I got these smells of the room going on. So here we are. Life is a full sensory
And then on top of that,
thing.
There's angels and demons all around you.
Exactly.
Fighting.
It's too much, dude. But to wrap it up, it's like try to keep those full sensory things as positive as you can, and I think that helps a lot. Yeah, that's it, man. This has been fun. I don't know what we touched upon today. I think you said it. It's like stories, and stories are we'll start looking into these things because I'm fascinated by the sort of how stories affect the human psyche, and then stories that also are connected to full sensory experiences that are almost spiritual in nature, and sort of you can get lost in. Mushrooms is another sort of that thing where you're in reality, but there's also all this other stuff going on, and you're what you're feeling inside and in your mind and stuff. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, it's interesting, man. And I think yeah, that's about it, man.
No, that was great, man. Like you it was a bit raw, but like what you basically did this episode was you did basically like an episode about full sensory experiences. And you did a bit about the church. You did a bit about that, that weird art experience in San Francisco, and then you related it to your own kind of experiences. And I don't know if you were at all like pre-thought that, but it was like a great, it was like a great podcast that wasn't, produced to the max. It could have been it could have been a not all things comedy. This American Life. It could have been a This American Life if you would have added some interviews. and
Gotcha.
did
Yeah, a little bit more
music
research and stuff. I
a
got
little bit more research and a little bit more outlining. So it's like, if you want to, I like that about your podcast. I want to see your podcast go more in like a more structured. Doesn't have to be like This American Life, but what you did today was, I thought, really good.
Cool. Well, here we are. We're all figuring it out, step by step, day by day. And yeah, that's it. I'm fucking on my way to being fully healthy. And wear your fucking masks. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Please, love each other. And that's it. Fucking do your best you can to alleviate suffering in your own mind and in the world. And pay it forward. And that's it. But do you have anything to say on final thoughts, David? I guess you just did.
Sounds good. Beware of misinformation and don't spread that shit.
Hell yeah, it's wild stuff.
Critical thinking. Let's
Hell yeah.
start critical thinking.
Hell yeah, critical thinking.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, me too. I'm happy with this one. This was fun. I hope everybody else likes it.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Till next week. We'll see you guys. Yeah.
Gunshots on a gun, I don't wanna be. Guilt trip, these drugs are inside of me. This is not where I wanna be. This is not who I wanna be. And these words I